fun people, I'm Isaac Carlson, and on Following Dreams, I'm focused on exploring the stories of people who are following their passions and achieving their dreams. I want to help inspire you to pursue what you love by hearing how others have done it. Before we bring on today's guest though, I first wanted to let you know of a way that you can support me while having your worries and stress gone away the next time you look to book a magical vacation. I have partnered with the Vacationeer Travel Company to create Watso's Magical Vacations, a licensed Disney travel organization here to help you plan your dream vacation for free. So if you like assistance with planning a Disney trip and want someone else to book your fast passes, dining reservations, and search for the latest deals, consider letting myself and my team help you along the way. Just go to watsovacations.com to get your free quote today. That's WOTSOvacations.com to begin the process of having your Disney vacation planned with no cost to you. Links are down below. With a passion for music and fantasy, today's guest has channeled her love of Disney, anime, and The Little Mermaid for the past 10 years to create a substantial following on social media and establish herself as a music artist, actor, and designer. By dazzling audiences with her song covers and cosplays that capture the magic of the works they are based on, she has become a recognizable and influential member in both the creative and Disney communities, which has even allowed her voice to be played for millions of guests within the Disney parks. To see all of her wonderful creations, including her very own clothing brand and original music, you can find all of those links down below. Welcome, Traci Hines.
Oh my gosh, that was so nice. Thank you.
You're very welcome. You do
your research. Oh my gosh, you know everything about me.
I try to put as much research as I can in before the interviews because I want to make sure that I'm asking you new things, getting new perspectives on your story, and so we can get down to the really cool parts of the nitty-gritty of how you got to where you are.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I will do my best to tell you my story as clearly as possible. I tend to ramble, so apologies in advance.
That's okay. I feel like you can get to a lot of interesting aspects of your life by rambling. I think those are very interesting interviews to have, is with people that just love to talk about everything that's happened. Yes. So I think that'll be a great thing.
Awesome.
First off, the thing I always like to ask first is, what are you passionate about?
Oh, man. I mean, clearly I'm passionate about Disney because a lot of my content, revolves around that. But the number one thing for me is music. That's always been a constant ever since I was a little kid. And I just truly, that is like the number one thing that drives me when creating content. And when I'm doing all of the things that I do, it all comes back around to music. And specifically Disney music played a huge role in obviously like my childhood and what I love and what I attached to really early on. And so to this day, Disney music specifically has really impacted my career and the music that I love and the music that I write and the music projects that I decide to take on. So, yeah.
What is it about music that gets you so excited? Is it like the emotion? Because that's something that really resonates with me with Disney music, is that I always feel like empowered or sad or happy based on the music that I'm listening to.
It's absolutely that. I think, I always tell this story about when I was 4 and I heard Part of Your World for the first time. And I swear it's like in every interview that I've ever done, I've talked about this, but it really was the beginning for me of finding myself and who I am and, the things that make me me in a way, because that song in particular, it just stirred something inside me. And truly, it was emotion. It was something I connected to at such a deep heart level. And it was both the song itself, what Ariel was saying, and it was Jodie's voice. Jodie Benson, the voice of Ariel, her voice really inspired me from a really young age. And Alan Menken, like anything Menken writes, I cry. Like he is literally like the most, it's very, his music specifically in Disney is very emotional, very heartfelt. And I feel like just the combination of feeling what a character is feeling through the music, for me, it's a lot more impactful than even seeing their story play out when they're singing about what they want and, their hardships and whatever they're going through. Something about the music makes me connect so much more. And for me, it makes it feel so much more real. And it's also about storytelling. I mean, a lot of people say that who are musicians, I think, but I really feel like music is my favorite way to hear or tell a story. And so that's always kind of the starting point for me with storytelling. And so with Disney, specifically, I feel like their music really, really helps tell the story and kind of dig into the characters' hearts, and yeah, so emotion is huge in storytelling, at least for me.
I completely agree. And the thing that's so fascinating about music to me is that it's very difficult to watch mediums like movies and television shows over and over and over again. I mean, there's certain shows that you can watch a lot, but it's nothing like music is, how you can listen to a song over and over and pick up new things every time, even when it's just something so short. So I've been like fascinated by music as I've gotten older. And so it's very cool to hear you talk about how exciting it is and to like pursue that as a career.
Yeah. And I'm the same way. That's so funny that you say that about not being able to watch things over and over, because I'm totally that way. I don't really want to sit and rewatch things constantly. When I was a kid, I did, but not now. And Disney is one of the few things that, obviously I do watch over and over. In a way, it's part of my job sometimes. So, but I do really enjoy watching Disney over and over. But yeah, with the music too, it's so true. You can sing a song and hear a song. You're in like part of your world. I've heard that song. I've been singing that song since I was 4 years old. I performed it. I can't even tell you how many times, and I'm not Jodie Benson, but it's the song people want to hear from me. It's the song that that kind of gave me my start and that I really connect to. And I'm never sick of it. I never will be, because it's so special, and there's so many different ways I think that musicians can reinterpret a song. And, I've sung Part of Your World now. I think in my videos, there's so many projects that I've done with friends where we'll put little pieces. We'll be doing like our Wreck-It Ralph video that we did recently. And then my old video, Disney Chicks. We basically do like pop songs. And then at the end of the song, we'll put in little pieces of the Disney Princesses songs kind of in a medley. And, so I've sung Part of Your World, I don't even know, even on my channel so many times. But there's always something new you can do with it. And you can always, interpret it in a different way and play with the styles. And, music always can be something new. And I think that's what's really exciting about music to me, is that you're never done. There's always something else you can do, even with just one song.
What do you think about when you're actually like singing those songs that you've sung a million times? Do you try to put your twist on it every time? Or how do you approach doing that?
Like when I'm performing or recording, or like when I'm just singing around the house? Like
yeah, like when I'm more performing.
Performing, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm like singing all the time. It's a problem. I do really... Okay, I'm an Enneagram 4. For anybody who's into the Enneagram, are you familiar at all with?
A little bit.
Okay.
I forgot which number I am, but I've done the test a bunch of times.
Oh my gosh, you have to take the test or find it and tell me, because I'm like super into it very recently through some friends, and it's really, really interesting, and it helps you get to know your friends so much better and your family. It's really cool. But anyways, I'm an Enneagram 4, and I always joke and I say it's the worst one, but basically 4s want to be unique. Our core desire is to be understood and heard and known. And, within that, we want to be our unique selves, and we want to express ourselves in a unique way. And we want to do things that matter. And that's me to a T. And so especially when it comes to music, my goal always when recording a song is to bring myself to it. And so, sometimes that means I'll change a ton of stuff in the song so that it really stands out as my own version. I really love to do that. But sometimes it just means that I'm bringing my own emotion and my own experiences to it, and really interpreting the story, maybe even in a video, in a different way, to kind of add my own story to the character's story. And so with every project that I take on, and usually my, music is attached to a video project, because that's like the nature of YouTube, right? And I really love visual mediums as well. And I'm an artist in a couple different ways. And so when I do videos too, it's a really, really fun challenge to kind of approach the song and say, the original already exists and we love it so much. And I don't want to mess with that. I don't want to try to be better or, try to even be the same. Like people do these sound-alike recordings, which is amazing. And it is not my gift. And so for me, I feel like the best thing that I can do when I love something and want to pay tribute to it is to bring myself to it because, nobody else is me. We're all different. We are all unique. And so I think for me, the real joy that I get is what can I bring to this that's new, that's me, that's, something a little bit different. And maybe then, there's a reason for it to exist because we already have the original and we love the original. So for me to take something on and do it, it's because I want to, reinterpret it or do something different. And so with any video you'll watch of mine too, I tend to try to put a lot of my own style into it, both vocally and visually. And sometimes you'll see me in videos where it's like half the video I'm the character and half the video I'm like myself, and a lot of people get confused about that. They're like, I don't get it. Who's the other character? And I'm like, it's just me. It's just me singing. But yeah, so that's really like the thing that, when I'm doing covers specifically, that's what gets me excited about doing covers because really as a songwriter, my ultimate joy is writing music and being able to share my original work. But if I'm not doing that, if I am doing a cover of something that I love, I want it to, have a purpose and a reason for me to be doing that, on my channel and to be sharing something a little bit new and something a little bit different. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
It sounds like you have put a lot of thought into how you create the things that you do, and that's really cool to hear about.
Thank you. I get a lot of criticism. It's weird. Like, I don't know if you've ever watched, gone through YouTube and watched music videos and covers of Disney songs and stuff, but on my channel, a lot of times I'll do a cover and people will say, like, you don't sound like so-and-so princess, you don't sound like Anna, you don't sound like whoever. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not trying to. I'm, sure I'm in the costume because I love the character and I'm paying tribute. And maybe there's certain little phrases, like in my Part of Your World, there's little phrases where you'll probably get a little Ariel vibe, like I'm definitely kind of trying to channel her energy and her spirit, but I really just want to be me, And so my goal is never to be a sound-alike or to be, exactly like the original. But a lot of people want that. And that always puzzles me because I'm kind of like, but if you like the original, go watch the movie because that's the best. That why would you not? Yeah. So, but obviously, I think it's a huge talent and amazing and incredible when people can mimic the original. That's just not my gift. And so, for me, yeah, I've always kind of been, puzzled by that when people comment that, and I'm like, oh, okay, you like hearing like a sound-alike, yeah. And so I try to kind of also keeping that in mind that people want that because obviously I want my audience to enjoy my content too. Is try to really, pay tribute in ways where I can be unique and original in myself, but also give them that like feel and that nostalgia and that, just love of the character that they can kind of grasp onto so that there's, still some of that nostalgia there for them.
Yeah, because you want people to be able to connect to what you're creating, and you've put a lot of time and work into those types of videos, so it makes sense that you want it to resonate with people. And so looking back, now that we've kind of talked about what you're passionate about and that it's music and that you create these very intricate videos and covers, you've been inspired to create music and pursue being a voice actor for a really long time, all the way back to literally elementary school. So would you be able to talk about the kids radio show that you were a part of and how that helped you start your career?
You really did your research. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah. So, literally, and going back to that Part of Your World story, when I was 4 and I was in the theater, yes, I'm that old. I remember literally thinking as a kid, when I watched Ariel, I was like, I want to do that. I want that to be my job. And I was 4 and I didn't think, oh, I want to meet Ariel. I want to be friends with Ariel. No, no, no. I was like, I know that that's artwork and someone gave their voice to her and I want to do that. And so ever since I was 4, I didn't know what it was called yet, but I knew I wanted to be not only just a singer, but a voice actor for cartoons. I just really, really wanted to do that. I felt like it was something that would be so fun, and it felt like something that, I don't know, that I could maybe do someday. Yeah, so that desire has always been there, and as I grew up, I loved watching any kind of behind the scenes content, and now we're so lucky because we can find that anywhere on YouTube. We can just dig and dig and dig and dig and find so much awesome behind the scenes content from the movies that we love and the music videos or whatever we want to find. But back then, it wasn't as easy to get a hold of. But I remember when on TV they would post the making of a movie or, and I remember seeing different like Disney, I don't know if they were advertisements or if they were, little like featurettes that they would show to promote their movies, and they would show people in the booth, and I remember watching those and thinking, that's what I want to do. And so I lucked out when I was in elementary school. I was in choir and I was really shy. I loved performing on stage. I love singing. I've been singing and performing since I was probably about 4, 5, maybe 5. I'm trying to remember how old I was the first time I performed on stage. But I'd been performing my whole life, but in choir, I was so shy to try out for any solos or do anything that would cause my peers to look at me. I was like, don't, and that's still my personality to this day. I'm like, put me on a stage, put me in front of a camera, and I'm like, yeah, let's go. But then in real life, if I'm at a party, I'm like, don't look at me, don't talk to me. I'm so shy. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. So in crowds and stuff, I really kind of clam up, but mermaid pun. Here we go. Sorry, they just come out and I don't even mean to. And so I remember really specifically, there was this one day in choir, and I think I was in 4th grade. I feel like the number 4 here is a trend. I don't know why, but I want to say I was like 10, maybe. And I was in my choir practice, and we were all singing, and my choir director at the time, I don't know if you've ever heard of Salty or Colby. They were these, I went to a Christian school in California, and they were these Christian, they made Christian videos, like musical videos for kids. And Salty was a singing songbook. He was like a big mascot character. And then Colby was like a computer mascot character. And I used to like love watching those as a kid and learning all the music and stuff. And so my choir director actually was a part of making those shows. And I remember we were doing, I don't remember what we were doing, but we were doing some sort of like play in choir. It was like some sort of musical play with parts, and he was trying people out for certain roles. And I remember with me, he like pointed at me and he's like, sing, and talk. And he had me like reading lines and singing, and I was so shy and so scared and embarrassed. But he like freaked out when he heard me, because I guess he'd never heard me before outside of like the big group, and he was like, oh my gosh, like come after school, I want to start working with you and, potentially put you in Salty and Colby and stuff. And, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is my moment. I've been discovered. And and I remember the role was a boy. It was, I still remember it was a little boy named Joey, and I was playing like a boy character. It was so heartbreaking because literally I was on the cusp of getting to sing in a professional way, because as a kid I always wanted to work. I don't know what was wrong with me, but I didn't want to be a kid. I just wanted to go and sing and work and like get to work in the entertainment industry. I just had this itch and I just wanted to get started so early. And literally like it was like a week later or something. I hadn't been able to really start working with him yet. And he no longer worked at our school. It was like, wow. Literally, yeah, it is kind of sad, a sad story. And I didn't know anything at the time, obviously, but he was no longer our choir teacher, and I was like, oh man, like I just kind of had my moment and now it's not going to happen. But what did end up happening is another guy who I think he took over temporarily. His name was Rex DeLong, and he did a kids radio show on K-Wave, which was our church's radio station. They're a huge Christian radio station. And I think it was on Saturday mornings, and he did I think there were a couple different ones, but he did a kids radio show where he would have music. He was a songwriter, and he would do worship for kids, and he would come to our school and play music and stuff. And I loved him. And he kind of, discovered me. I think I'm trying to remember if the choir director had told him about me, or I don't remember exactly how it happened. It was so long ago, but he found out that I was, a singer, and that I had a voice that could work for voice acting and stuff. And so he pulled me into the studio where he did his radio show and gave me some roles on the radio show. And I remember coming in on weekends and recording, the character's name was Juliana Jordan. And I sang Christian songs, like worship songs, and his original songs that were really sweet. And I think it was me and one other, I think a little boy, and we were like the hosts of the show. And it was very temporary. It wasn't like a long going thing. I don't think anyone knew it was me. My school didn't know. Nobody knew. It was a very small thing probably to the outside world, but to me it meant the whole world, because I was able to finally go into a studio and record and have that experience of what that job might be like, and what it would be like to be able to do those things. So that's how I started voice acting. And it's not like I was doing it all the time as a kid. It was just pretty much that until I was in high school. I think I got a couple different little radio things that I would do for our school play. But yeah, it's not like I was working and, working in the industry and doing it a lot back then. It was just this special thing through my church that I got to do. But it was, I think the radio station plays all over the world. So it was broadcast, yeah. They're really well known all over the place. They were the first Calvary Chapel. If you've ever heard of Calvary Chapel, they were the very first one that grew all the Calvary chapels all over the world. And so, it wasn't like it was like a small thing, but, for me, it really impacted me, and it was really, really special. So that's how I got started voice acting and recording.
That must have been so exciting. Getting the opportunity for the first time to be able to experience the thing that you really care about doing. It must be just an incredible first step, especially so young. It's a good stepping stone to give you confidence into the rest of your life and into the future. It
really was. And I think through that experience and just kind of getting more comfortable and having someone validate me that wasn't my family, because growing up, I'd always loved to sing, and my parents were really, really supportive. My dad's a musician. My grandma was a musician, his mom. And on the writing side, my mom, I feel like I get my songwriting from my mom's side, but they were just so supportive. But, when you are validated by someone who does this for a living, who's, a part of the industry in some way, that's a whole nother level of feeling like, hey, maybe I can really do this. Maybe this isn't just me wanting to do something. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's a reason why I really love this. And maybe, I could do okay. And so I think that was something that really started to give me even more confidence to perform more, especially at church. I grew up performing at church all the time. And then in the school plays, I got brave enough to audition for the school plays. And I don't know if I would have eventually gotten the confidence to do that starting in junior high if I hadn't really had that elementary school, support and validation from my teachers. So, yeah.
So flash forward a little bit. We go to 2008 when you start your YouTube channel. What led up to you deciding to make this, and what were you doing at that point in your life?
Oh, man. So 2008 was my year. I always think it's so funny. I had some of the best, craziest experiences of my life in 2008. So that year is emblazoned in my mind as being very, very special. I'm trying to remember if it was either end of 2007, or early 2008 when I started my channel. And where I was at the time is I'd gone to college for music. I had a music scholarship to Azusa Pacific, and I was only there for 2 years. I didn't graduate. I'm a college dropout. And I went in my first year, into the music program. And within the first 2 weeks I was there, I lost my voice. And I was devastated. And this is something that I dealt with my whole life. I'd always had issues with losing my voice. Come to find out, 2 years ago, I finally found out I had a lifelong vocal polyp on my vocal cords, which is why. So the thing I loved to do the most was often the hardest thing to do. And I lived half my life on vocal rest. I was just constantly on and off vocal rest, depending on if I had to perform or, whatever was going on. But I went up to college, and I was probably just the combination of meeting new people and being in the dorms and talking a lot more than usual. And the, environment is different out there than where I grew up. I grew up by the beach. And so like the air really, it's so weird, but like weather and all that stuff would affect my voice a lot when I had the polyp. And so I lost my voice. I didn't know why. I just knew that my voice was gone, and I was dropped from the music program because I went to talk to the choir director, and he said, because you have to be in a choir if you're in the music program. And so I was in their choir, and he basically said, like, if you can't sing, you can't really be in the choir. And I didn't know if my voice was going to come back or not out there. I didn't know what was going to happen. And so it was so sad. I remember just bawling my eyes out in my dorm room on the phone with my mom, just trying to figure out, like, I really felt like, and I'm a Christian, and, my faith is really important to me. And I really felt like God had brought me to that school specifically. I felt like there was some reason why I was supposed to be there, because it wasn't even the school I wanted to go to. But for some reason, it just felt right when we made that decision. And I just felt like, why am I here? If I'm, and I was dropped, my scholarship went away because I wasn't in the music program anymore. And so I basically just, I stayed at the school for a year and just did like general stuff. And then the second year, my voice came back. Praise the Lord. It did come back. But I just, being at college, for me, I knew what I wanted to do, but it wasn't really, I didn't feel like it was preparing me for what I wanted to do. And so the only sort of bright light was I took this musical theater class, and my professor really took an interest in my voice and really, really gave me a lot of encouragement to keep pursuing music. And finally, I just made the decision after a while. It's so expensive to go to a university, and we were all loans, and I was, me and my family were just really like, it was a lot for me to be going there for 4 years. And I kind of like reevaluated, and I was just like, I don't feel like this is the right thing for me. I just didn't have a peace about it anymore. And so I felt like it was good that I went for those 2 years, because I did learn a lot about myself, and I gained a lot of independence. But, school-wise, it wasn't really the thing that helped me, in my career. And so I left, and I decided to take a year off. A year, aka the rest of my life. And I decided to, my now husband proposed at that time. So we decided to get married. We took a year and a half to plan the wedding and plan for our life together. And while we were doing all that, I was working, I was a waitress, and I was just doing all sorts of different jobs throughout college and after. But I had a couple different jobs, and I was trying to audition, and I was just so determined to find a way to become a musician and, and hopefully voice actor too, and get work in the meantime doing what I love to do. But nothing was working out. It was just, no one noticed me. It's just that feeling when you're like, this doesn't feel right, but I don't know why, because this is supposed to be the path, towards my dreams, but it didn't feel like anything was, the right fit. And I remember getting my first agent and manager, and they loved that I was a singer, but they were really pushing me to be an actor. And they really wanted me to be like an on-camera actor, not like a voice actor necessarily. And they really, really wanted me to audition constantly for acting roles. And I did it for a little while, but I was like, this isn't what I want. This isn't me. I don't feel like this is my gift. And I love acting a little bit, but it's not the thing that fuels me. And it's not the thing that I feel like I'm really naturally, have any sort of, talent for. And so, that felt like a dead end. And so I was just really disheartened. I was having a really, really hard time because I just felt like, and I remember even singing at church, and I loved that. Just, I needed an outlet, I needed some way to sing, and just, I don't know, and you just feel like this is inside me and it's here for a reason, but I don't know where to do it or how to do it or what my path is. Even at church, I remember they tried me out as one of the worship leaders, and I loved it. And it was the best experience. And I had a great feedback from everybody, and they never called me again. I don't know why, who knows, I have a theory. I started modeling for Hot Topic at the time, and I think maybe they didn't like that. I don't know. Because back then Hot Topic was a lot more like goth than it is now. And that's also something I never thought I'd ever do, modeling, but my friend told me to go try out for it, and I don't know, it worked out, and I was like, cool, this is fun, and it's I can make money just hanging out and taking pictures in cute clothes. Why not? And so I don't know, I just was really, I don't want to say lost, because I've always known what I wanted to do. I've never in my life felt lost in that sense, but I felt like I didn't know which way to go to get to where I wanted to be, or where I felt like I was being led to go, And so my dad, I had a laptop at school that we were like leasing through the school. And when I left the school, obviously I didn't have the laptop anymore. My dad and my mom got me a laptop as a gift shortly after I came back from school. And they, my dad basically said, hey, I've been reading in the newspaper that some of these YouTubers, these people he didn't say YouTubers, but that wasn't a thing back then. He said some of these singers are posting, them singing on YouTube. They're making videos and they're getting discovered. And he started, following, and it was Marie Digby, or I don't know if I'm saying her name right. But anyways, it was like, I'm trying to remember the names of the other singers, but it was like the OG singers of YouTube, that would go and post covers and original music. And my dad basically just had this sense of like, this could be a way for you to get some exposure and maybe get noticed by a record label or something, because that was my goal. I wanted to be signed. I wanted to have someone helping me and I wanted to be an original artist, and then hopefully also get to someday do some voice acting with Disney or whoever as well. But I wanted to be signed to a label. So I started making videos. They're still up on the internet to this day, and it's so embarrassing. But I would make videos in my living room. I would just put the laptop in the window of my apartment and prop it up on a bunch of boxes, and didn't have a mic really. Eventually we sprung for like a little, microphone that like a snowball microphone. And I just started singing, and I tried, for a long time to fit into the mold of like the YouTuber singer-songwriter, and I didn't have a way yet to put out my original music, but because I don't play an instrument. I wish I did, but not well enough to like, play on publicly. And so I didn't want to put out original music, I wanted it to be done, to a level of excellence. And so I was waiting on that, but I was doing covers, and I was just finding karaoke tracks, singing in my living room. And I was really trying to fit into this box of like, these girls are very natural makeup. They're beautiful, but they're very like natural beauty, and they would just be very chill, and they'd either have their guitar or they'd just be singing. And I tried to be that. I tried to just be like, okay, I'll just sing some covers, and just kind of put myself out there. And, it didn't really do much, and it wasn't really me. And eventually I was like, I'm just going to sing a Disney song. Why not? Because I like Disney. That's fun. And I was just singing whatever, I was just whatever karaoke tracks I could find that I like remotely liked the song. I was like, I'll sing this. But I was like, heck, I'll sing Part of Your World. I love Ariel. Let's just do it. And I had red hair at the time, and not necessarily because of Ariel, but it fit. And that is when my audience told me, this is who you are. This is what we want. We love this. More of this. And so I slowly started doing more Disney covers, and I started doing my makeup like the characters, and doing my hair like the characters, and essentially Disney bounding before it had a name. I was Disney bounding in my videos and wearing outfits inspired by the characters. And eventually I started performing at children's birthday parties and actually having access to costumes and wigs. And I would make my own costumes for anime expos and stuff, and anime conventions. And so I was slowly acquiring my own costumes as well, and like learning how to make that happen and learning about cosplay. And so, yeah, my channel eventually kind of morphed into much more glam Disney characters, all about the, like portrayal as well as the music. And so that's just kind of the birth of my YouTube channel. And my dad was so right. I don't know how he knew, but that was the way that was basically the door that opened to me to my whole career that I have now. And I credit YouTube as being, the platform that really gave me a chance. And when every other door was slammed in my face, no one had any interest in me whatsoever until I started on YouTube. And, it's just very strange. I always say I started YouTube to get discovered, quote unquote, and hopefully get signed. And that never happened. I've never had an offer. I've never been, discovered in that way through YouTube. But I found an audience. I found a community, and I found people that loved what I love. And I found people that, really, really attached to and cared about what I was doing. And that was the hugest blessing, because they're the ones that truly opened the doors that I've been able to walk through. So sorry, very long story, but that's how it started.
No, that's absolutely okay. It's insane what YouTube has been able to provide for so many people. And it's amazing to hear another success story of how someone can go from having no opportunities in what they desire to do to having unlimited opportunities as they grow and have their own ability to create the life that they want to make. And it definitely sounds like that's what you were able to do. And it's crazy that is the world that we live in now, that you can log on, start posting things, and get more opportunities. Similarly to how you were talking before about that you pointed to people and wanted to be a voice actor for a while, that I wanted to be like an Imagineer of some kind. And now through YouTube, I'm able to interact with Disney on a frequent basis. And so YouTube is an amazing platform, and social media in general is. So it's an amazing thing.
It really is. And it's been amazing for so many of us. It's given so many of us a voice who maybe never would have shared before, and I think and I love that it's so varied. Like there's so many different niches and things that you can do on YouTube, and find a community, there's so many different things. And so I love that you want to be an Imagineer, and that like through your channel, you've been able to open those Disney doors. And I feel like you're so creative. Like your videos, I love your videos because I love the way that you not only gather the facts, but you explore all of the like deep dive stories of these characters. And that's exactly what an Imagineer, I think, should be doing, because they need to fully understand the stories and the characters before they create. And so, yeah, I mean, you're on the way. If you still want to do it. Live your dream. It's so cool.
Exactly. And I mean, especially with like Sarah Sterling getting to be an Imagineer,
yes,
I was
I'm
like,
so proud of her.
Yeah. I was like, whoa. The Thingamavlogs girl? Like that, dang. That's a glow up, man.
I mean, and that's the thing. That's what I love about our community is we still have that childlike heart. I think all of us sort of share that childlike love for Disney, but also that message that Disney sends to us that your dreams are possible and it's not too late. And, you really, really can make your own dreams come true if you work hard. You're like Tiana, it's like work hard and dream and don't give up, and it could totally happen. There's many, many examples of people who started on YouTube and, maybe YouTube was their dream, and it's opened the doors to exactly what they wanted to do. So it's magical.
I absolutely agree. I think that's something that I've learned more about myself as I've been able to talk about Disney more, is that I find that I want to push optimism, positivity, and magic into the world more than anything else. That's the thing that I really grasp onto, that it resonates with me when I hear the story of Walt Disney, is that you can create something huge and create something influential that brings positivity and magic to people's lives. And I think that's something that's really cool and that has really opened me up to like my purpose for YouTube. And so it gets me so excited to be able to talk about it with someone else who like has the similar point of view on the world and where they can go.
Amen. Yeah, that's totally how I feel too. I always say that I want to make a difference. I want God to use me to make a difference in people's lives. And I'm not a surgeon. I'm not saving lives. You know what I mean? Like I'm just singing, but that can make a difference. What we do, bringing joy to people's lives and giving people hope, and sharing our stories, like that is so valuable and it's so needed. I think there's so much of our world right now that's, it's just really disheartening. It can be really dark. And there's just a lot of stuff out there that the new generations coming up are being exposed to. And I just want our corner, at least, of the internet to be encouraging, because that's what I need. I'm that kind of person where I go through a lot in my life. I have a lot of health issues. I struggle with depression and anxiety, and I've been really public about that. And I need encouragement. I constantly need resources in my life to lift me up and encourage me when I'm down and when I feel like things aren't possible, because we all go through those times of feeling like things are hopeless for some reason or another, and like we're stuck somewhere and we're never going to progress. And so I just want to be that voice or lend my voice to the greater voice that's, encouraging people and telling people, look, you're here for a reason. You matter, and what you love matters. And you can do anything you put your mind to. You can do anything you want to. There is, no obstacle that can stand in the way of you and your purpose in life if you really dedicate yourself to it, And so I'm not saying it's easy, but I really want to encourage people to follow their dreams. I feel like that's kind of become my sort of like mission and mantra, is I hope that with what I do, that I can inspire people to see that, like, look, I didn't come from anything. I didn't have any special treatment or connection or, I just did the thing I love and I didn't stop. And eventually Disney was like, okay, come on in. Well, okay. We can work together, like, it's just, if you're persistent, and if you, I don't know, I think if you just are persistent and you have a good head on your shoulders and you just don't let things stop you, don't let someone else's opinion stop you from the thing that you're supposed to do. So
yeah, absolutely. You got to find the star that you want to go towards and keep going towards it. So while you were on the journey of trying to get to that place, you were in the development stage of like making all these costumes and doing all this production value. What is the process like of making these costumes, especially like in the early days? Was it like a huge undertaking? As someone who's like never really got into cosplay before, I was fascinated to ask someone who like has done it so many times.
Oh man. Yeah. I'm such a perfectionist. So I'm a little special. I say that as dragging myself, I'm very particular. And I think in a way that's really been the thing that sort of, I think has kind of set me apart a little bit. But I'm like the grandma of YouTube, of cosplay and YouTube, because I've been doing it since 2000. Well, I've been cosplaying forever, but I mean, I've been doing it kind of on YouTube since, like 2008. And so I've learned a lot, and I remember my very first costume. My aunt helped me make my very first Ariel costume. And I think I'd actually tried an attempt before and it failed. And so I was like, I need some help. So my aunt sews quilts and she was kind enough to deal with me. And I made my very first Ariel costume, and it did really well. People really loved it. People really gave me a great response, and that really encouraged me that I was maybe, doing okay. And as I really started to like make my music videos, my first music video was my Part of Your World music video. Because I was like, well, my first one has to be a tribute to the character that like inspired me to do this, and also the character that got everybody else excited to watch my channel. Ariel's done a lot for me. And so I wanted to thank her, and do this like tribute and basically just show my love for that movie. And so when I, decided to do that video, my friend Joellen, she's Firefly Path online. She's a costumer and she's been doing it forever. She is incredibly talented. I work with so many talented costumers and cosplayers and designers. It's insane the talent that my friends have. But Joellen was basically, she recommended me to the person who filmed my video, and she also came alongside as my costumer for that video, and she helped me I designed with her, and she made every single costume in that video. And we did it in, I think, oh my gosh, we did it in like 2 weeks.
Wow.
And that pink dress, that pink Ariel gown is still one of my favorite costumes to this day. And I'm so proud of it. But basically I was very opinionated. I still am about how I want my costumes to look. And it's like a secondary passion of mine. I'm definitely like more focused on music over cosplay, but I really, really love the costuming aspect of a music video. And so it gives me so much joy to design these costumes. And my ideal, I don't always get to do this, especially financially, because, making these costumes is not cheap. I honestly, to make like one gown, like if you've seen my Beauty and the Beast video, that gown is my other favorite costume. I think it probably took me a year or two to save up just to make that one costume, because I don't mess around. The thing that I love about interpreting Disney characters, or any character really, but especially Disney princesses, into costume form is I'm not trying to be accurate. I'm not trying to look exactly like them in the movie. I really love to sort of mix the iconic things about their look, like colors and shapes, and their hair color and things like that, and take that and look at historical costumes, and basically take elements of how, gowns and all of these like dresses that a real princess would have worn, what, like in France or, wherever we're pulling. I love like Victorian as well. But my Ariel gown is kind of like a take on like a Marie Antoinette, kind of style costume or gown, from those days. And so in France. And so I really love taking like historical, elements and putting them into my Disney costumes, because I feel like my ultimate goal with becoming a Disney princess in a video, or having anyone portray a character in one of my videos, is I want them to feel real. I really wish, basically it's kind of like if you're going to watch a movie, like a live action, like how Disney will translate the characters' costumes into a live action form. And that's my version of that. So I want something that's film quality and that really, really feels like real. And there's textures and there's, a lot of details that maybe you wouldn't see in the 2D animation, but in real life, I think, Ariel would have had pearls sewn onto her gown. She's a mermaid, or she would have had, lots of ornate elements on this gown that, maybe you can't always see every detail clearly in a 2D animation, film. But I want to sort of find a way to put my own spin on that and add those details to them, so they feel really rich and textured and stuff. So that's like a huge passion of mine. And I'm a little crazy because I always say I'm a fabric snob or a costume snob, meaning that I really love silk and like real fabrics. I really, really love having things be authentic. And I get a lot of joy out of sort of, using real fabrics and things that I would imagine that the character might have actually worn. And you can't always do that. You can't always afford to do that. So nowadays, actually, because I've been saving up for and working towards a big original project. So as far as like my covers and my character portrayals this year, and maybe even over like the past year or two, I've actually been doing a lot of borrowing costumes from my talented friends who design. And so I don't always wear things that I design. I could not afford to do that. I would not have as much content as I do. But, and I'm very, very grateful to them because they're incredible. And so, I will sometimes wear a mass-produced costume and I'll add elements to it. If I'm on a budget, sometimes like I will work with something that's already made and I'll add flowers or crystals or whatever. I love to hand sew. So that's like my joy, is having someone make the garment and then I will go in and add all sorts of sparkle and craziness to make it, really something different. But yeah, so I could go on and on about costumes, but I truly love it. It's a huge, huge passion of mine. And I do consider myself a designer to an extent. I'm not good with sewing. It's not, I'm really, really not great with a sewing machine, but I love to design a costume from the ground up. And I love corsets and period accurate, shapes and structure. And I just like nerd out over a lot of that stuff. So, and wigs too. I use mostly human hair wigs because I want everything to look, and on camera too, it's different in a photo than it is in a video. I'm basically trying to make mini movies, to the quality. Like my goal is always, I want it to feel like you're watching a little movie. And when you're watching a film, human hair doesn't shine, the way a fake wig would. Like it looks real. It feels more real. And so I'm always just looking for that authenticity and those ways that I can, bring something to life in my own style, but also in a way that feels a little grounded, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm weird.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And it's really interesting to see the parallels between you talking about creating your music and making these costumes. That in both projects, you are really adamant about trying to perfect it, but also implement your own vision and style into it. So It's really interesting to hear that there's a continuity between all of your artistic projects.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's just me. I think that's just who I am, where I'm very detail oriented, and that's also why I think it's hard for me, because I'm so particular and I really, really strive for a level of excellence every single time. It's hard for me to get more than a couple of videos a year up, and I know that it's not good for my channel. I don't grow the way my friends grow. And, I've never hit the stratosphere like a lot of the YouTubers that I came up with did, but I don't really care about playing the algorithm game. I suck at it. I just want to create things that I'm really, really proud of. And so that's, in a way, it's kind of my downfall, but I also think that it's a strength because it's the thing that I think sets my content apart, because I care so, so much about every single detail. So it's just who I am.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, if you're able to grow and have the opportunities that you enjoy by making that type of content, then, that's all the power to you. You shouldn't have to do something that you don't want to do if you're trying to live your exact dream. Like, you should obviously work hard and do that, but that's what you are doing. So I think you're doing everything you should.
Right. I mean, on the financial side, like that's always been the hard part for me, is because I hate having to deal with money, and I hate having to deal with budgets and blah, like I hate it. I just want to make art. But that's the hard part, is always sort of finding ways to not overspend, because oftentimes my videos cost so much more than I'll ever make back. And so that's where I really do have to sort of learn, how to make a living also in doing what I do, and that's why I do so many different things to make ends meet, because I don't want to compromise, I don't want to compromise on the vision that I have for the art I want to create. And so for me, it's true passion. It doesn't feel like a job, because it's what I truly love.
So what other types of things do you do to, one, fund this and be able to continue to have a career and livelihood? So I know that you do things like kids commercials, radio, apps, and video games. What are all of those projects like?
Oh my gosh, I love them so much. One of my favorite things ever is to go in with my producer and do a kids commercial. It's just so fun. It literally takes like 15 minutes. Sometimes he's so fast. We just knock it out, and it's so fun and easy and joyful. I think I've always had a voice that really worked well for children's stuff. I don't know what it is about my voice. There's like a quality about it that I feel like it works really well for, like, Bella Ballerina, like, whatever I'm advertising for, on the kids commercials, like shoes or toys or whatever. I feel like there's a good fit there. And so I'm always, pretty happy with how they come out, because my producer's incredibly talented, who writes the songs and puts together the commercials. But basically I get the work because my friend Adam will call me in, and, he writes a lot of the music and stuff and has me come in and do the recording. Yeah, it's really, that's like such a crazy blessing that came out of the blue, because we met through a mutual friend, and literally, like, I think the first time I ever met him in person, I did a Little Mermaid performance for his daughter's birthday. And so that was sort of my weird singing audition. I didn't know it at the time, but he had me come and entertain for a birthday party and sing some songs. And so after that, he started calling me in to do work. He's been such a huge blessing in my life, and both of us are like Disney nerds, and we've always, both of us, wanted to work for Disney. And, we've been doing these commercials and video games. Like, he works with a lot of different companies. He writes a lot of music for video games and everything, like TV, just anything you can think of. He's probably worked on it. And, and so he's been a huge blessing in my life, opening a lot of doors for me to do more voice acting and do more, singing and recording for different media. And so that's really how most of that happened. I've had some gigs come through YouTube. I do audition. It's so hard to find time sometimes, so I don't audition as much as I should, but I should be sending in more auditions. But I do have a voiceover agent who helps me, and I'll audition from time to time for things. And it's just, they come from all different places, but essentially my friend Adam has been like the hugest blessing when it comes to voiceover work. But it's so fun. He hits me up, and usually it's like he needs me, and like that same day or in a couple days or whatever. And he's like, hey, can you just come down and, we'll do this quick thing. And I'm like, yeah. And so I go in, I learn it, usually you just learn it on the spot, because everything's happening so fast. Sometimes the song isn't even like completely ready. There's changes and stuff that goes back and forth. So sometimes it's not even ready until like I get there, but it's pretty, it's fun to learn on the spot. I love the challenge. And they're short, and, commercials especially are usually pretty short and simple. And so it's not in any way intimidating or uncomfortable. It's just fun. And so I really, really love doing that. And, that's like one of my favorite jobs ever. So shout out to Adam Gubman. Oh, and the other thing I was going to say too about me and Adam is both of us, when we met, how many, like I want to say like 2012 or something, we both wanted to work for Disney at the time, and now we both do. So, but him like way more than me. He now composes music for the parks. So it's pretty crazy and amazing to see his journey, and he's been kind enough to bring me along, which is how I've been able to sing for Tokyo Disney quite a few times now. And yeah, he's been amazing. So shout out to Adam Gubman, one of my music producers. He's great.
that was one of the things that I definitely wanted to ask you about, was singing for Tokyo Disneyland, and also this Halloween hearing your rendition of "I've Got a Spell on You." That
so
must have just been
weird and
insane.
cool. They didn't tell me. I had no idea. And so literally, like, it was Sarah Sterling and my friend Tiff Mink, who were at the Halloween party, and they literally they tagged me on Instagram, and they're like, "This is Traci. This is our friend. Like, what?" And they sent me the videos, and they're like, "Did you know about this?" And I was like, "No." I had no idea. And so the whole Halloween season, I was trying so hard to find a way to get tickets to go hear it. I never did. So I did go and hear it. I went to like the parks before my pass expired, and I like stayed long enough in DCA to hear it. So that was amazing. And then we went over to the main park. It was playing. So it was playing in DCA for the Halloween party, Oogie Boogie's Bash, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And it was on the playlist. So it was played like, I don't even know how many times a night. I think Tiff said it was like 10 or 12 times, something like that night. It was like every 30 minutes they would replay the playlist, and I was like the second song on the playlist. So it was all throughout DCA, all October. And then it was also being played at the Villains Dance Party, which was happening in the main park over at the Tomorrowland like terrace area.
Oh, sure.
And so, and the DJ, would be like dancing, and characters would come out and dance, and they would play it there too. And literally that song, that was just a cover I did for fun on my own dollar, just a fun friends project. It was the first video my friend Brandon did for me, who's one of my video directors. And we just did it because I love Hocus Pocus, and I just wanted to do a big tribute to it because it's my favorite Halloween movie. And so I did 2 covers back in, it was like 2014 or 2015, something like that. And I did Come Little Children, and I Put a Spell on You. And I guess they just liked it. They just liked it, and they used it. And I later, was able to track down the person who chose the song. And so he's awesome. We've been chatting, and I got to thank him, But I had no idea. It was just this crazy surprise. And I've always had a dream of having my voice in a Disney park. And not only was it my voice, it was my own cover, my own interpretation of this song, so it was even more, it wasn't an original song, but it was even more original, content than me singing a song for the parks that was, put together or arranged by someone else. This was me and my music producer, my friend Joris, who arranged this track. And yeah, it was, I don't know, it was really, really flattering to hear that Disney liked it enough to want to use it. So that was awesome.
Yeah, because I wasn't aware when I originally found out about this that it was something that you completely created, because I could tell from everything on Instagram that you weren't aware of it.
Yeah.
That's even cooler that it was something that you completely had full control over and created. Yeah. That's awesome.
And my friends were in it too. So my friend Amy Toy, she's Brandon's wife, and she's one of my best friends, and she's in a lot of my videos. Her voice is in it because she sang the backup vocals. And then my friend Lauren, who played Winifred in the video, her voice is in it because she did a ton of like Winifred lines and laughs and all sorts of stuff. And so, it's my cover, which is a reimagining of the song if Sarah would have sung it, because I played Sarah in the video. So yeah, it's essentially just my cover of it, but we wore the costumes in the video as the witches and had a blast just geeking out and living our best lives. So, but yeah, so even my friends got to hear their work in the park too, and we were all just like shocked, which was very different than how my voice has been in Tokyo, because that was, I was hired as a vocalist, and I was brought in to sing music that was composed for the Tokyo shows. And that happened in a very, clear-cut way. But this was just such a random, cool thing. And I'm just like, hey, Disney, whatever music you want, just take it. If you want something, just let me know. I'll make it for you. I love Disney. I'm like, they can do whatever they want.
I
take
mean,
all my music, please.
If they need help with anything,
yes,
we're both a phone call away.
Yeah, exactly. And they know. I think they know that. I really love that over the years Disney has been really like in the beginning, it was so different. And I feel like they kind of just looked the other way when we would cosplay and stuff because they're like, this is weird. I don't get it. What's happening? And now they've so embraced the fandom things that we do. And I love that they are recognizing their fans and bringing them into what they're doing and allowing us to, you know, advertise, like do brand deals with them and advertise their films and work with them in all different ways and capacities. But I just really, really love, because I've been on YouTube for so long and social media and like doing this self-starter game. And I've seen the progression of how Disney has been over the years with content and content coming out and, you know, sort of how they, you know, treat it and kind of what they do with it. And I love that they love us now and are so embracing for the most part. So it's cool. Mm-hmm.
What was your first contact with Disney and how did you initially begin working with them?
Oh my gosh. Oh, I was trying to think about this the other day. I was like, what was the first Disney thing? There's like two things in my mind. So I know I did a Disney commercial with Adam. I'm trying to remember the timeline, but that wasn't like for Disney. You know, it's, you know how like there's all these different avenues of working with Disney. Disney is ginormous, you know, and then obviously they will hire out, you know, to like sometimes for brand deals and stuff, you'll be working with kind of like a middleman company. So you're working for Disney, but then your point of contact is maybe someone that doesn't work for Disney. They're like an agency that's connecting you or what have you. So there's all this different stuff that, you know, different ways. But I do remember doing a commercial for Disney and I sang a song and it was for Tsum Tsums. The little Disney toys or collectibles. And it was super, super cute. And that might have been the first thing where it was like an official Disney thing that I worked on, which is cool because it was singing, which is like the thing I want to do for Disney the most is singing. But I also remember it might have been around the same time or it might have been before, but when Disney redid Into the Woods as, you know, the live action film, they hired me to make a music video covering the new song. They'd written a new song for Meryl Streep to sing in that movie called She'll Be Back. And it's not in the play, you know, it's brand new. They hired me to make a music video performing. They wanted me to be the witch, like in costume, full on, which was so weird to me because normally, like at that time, Disney, I don't think wanted cosplay in their ads and stuff. They, you know, they more so just wanted you to be you and like sing the song or whatever, like from other artists that I followed and saw working with them and stuff. It was so rare to see Disney doing like costume stuff, but they wanted me to go and do what I do, you know, costume music video. And I played the witch and they gave me a budget and I covered the song. So I went and recorded it and then we made the music video and I was able to hire my friend Kaylin, who is a special effects makeup artist, and she made me into like the hag version of the witch, the old version. And then I also did a version, you know, where I was like the Meryl Streep, like young version. And then my friend Cassie Glimmerwood made the costume. And so it was really cool. I had like this little budget to work with to hire my friends and be able to create something really, really cool and have a music video on my channel that was sponsored by Disney. And the only kind of interesting thing about some of the gigs I've done with Disney films is they'll only live for a short period of time and then they go private. So that video was only on my channel for a month.
Oh.
Yeah, but they liked it so much. I was so flattered. They didn't have to do this. This wasn't in the contract, but they liked it so much that they asked if they could upload it onto their official Facebook page. So for a long time, my video was on the official Into the Woods Disney verified Facebook page. So even when my video went away, you could still go watch it there. And so that was so cool. And then after that, I worked with them a few more times shortly after covering Disney music to promote the re-release of Beauty and the Beast and the re-release of Aladdin when they came out a couple of years back on Blu-ray. So I think those were kind of like the first things that I did. That was kind of my toe in the water. Gosh, and I'm trying to remember when it happened. I joined Maker. Maker is owned by Disney. Do you remember like the the MCN? I don't know if you were ever with an MCN, but that was like a big thing a few years back on YouTube, was to be with an MCN who managed your YouTube channel and, you know, placed the ads on your channel and like sometimes would give you brand deals and work with you and kind of manage you. So I was invited to join Maker, which had just been purchased by Disney at the time. And so I was so excited because essentially my whole YouTube channel was under the Disney umbrella, and I was like part of the Disney family in that way. So I'm not like an employee in any way. I've always just been kind of like a, you know, independent contractor type thing with different work for them. But that was so cool, is Disney was essentially, you know, a part of, they were, you know, the management of my YouTube channel. And then Maker eventually became Disney Digital Network. So for many years, I was able to do music and, you know, basically have Disney manage my channel. And so that was really cool. And so in you know, they've worked with me, like Disney Digital Network has also worked with me a bit on different campaigns and, you know, getting to advertise cool things that I love for Disney. So yeah, there's like all different facets of different types of work that I've done. And, you know, I've done YouTube, I've done Instagram, and obviously I've done the singing for the parks and stuff like that. And my favorite is always music. Anything music that I can do is number one for me, because that's, you know, that was always my bucket list thing. And so in a small way, I've been able to reach, you know, quite a few dreams that I've had. I still have a lot more, but yeah, I've definitely done more than I, you know, ever knew was possible because of Disney.
I mean, I am in a very similar position where I definitely dream of working with Disney someday. Like, that's something that just sounds so exciting to me. And it's really cool that you've been able to go full circle, going from The Little Mermaid all the way to having music in the Disneyland park and have your own videos be sponsored by Disney and post-sponsored by Disney. That's just so incredible and so inspiring to hear you talk about.
Thank you. Well, and I was going to say, you, in a roundabout way, you kind of worked with Disney, because we both got to do the Kingdom Hearts trip to Disney World at the beginning of the year. And, you know, Kingdom Hearts is with Disney. It's right. So in a roundabout way, you can kind of, you know,
that is true.
You kind of worked with Disney, you know, and we hung out with Mickey. He came and hung out with us, and that was so special.
That is definitely the most insane experience that I've ever had, is doing the whole Kingdom Hearts and Square Enix event. That was just insane.
That was craziest. I have never had that kind of experience at Disney World or Disneyland. I've had some really awesome experiences, but like, that was next level. What they did for us, and driving us around backstage, and, you know, having the plaids just take us everywhere, and the special breakfast with Mickey, I have no words. That was like insanity. I don't know that anything could ever top that. That was the most amazing experience. I still am reeling from that. Oh, and through that, I got to work with Kingdom Hearts later too, and make a music video for them. And that was all because I got to meet them there at that trip. And that was such a crazy, awesome blessing too this year, is getting to do, you know, a music video inspired by Kingdom Hearts 3 for them this year. And so that's also kind of like a Disney thing, because there were a lot of Disney characters in the video. And yeah, so anyways, Kingdom Hearts is the best. And yeah, so you had a connection to working with Disney there. That counts.
All right, then I've peeked my way in. I've seen the light. I've connected with Disney in the one way so far.
You did it.
I mean, it definitely is. Yes, I can check that off the box. Getting invited to Disney World, that's an insane thing. I hope I'm able to do more things with them in the future, but that was definitely a crazy thing.
I know, I'm like, how can we go back now? It's like, after having that kind of experience, you know what I mean? It's like, oh my gosh, it'll never live up, never again. It's always magical, but that was next level.
Absolutely. So now that we kind of have an idea of what you've done so far, where do you see your journey going into the future?
Oh man, I have dreams. I have so many dreams. I've talked about this before, and then I've regretted it because it still hasn't happened. But my biggest dream right now is my album. I always say if finances weren't a factor, if I won the lottery, I would stop everything and I would do my original album. And there is a little Disney influence, so it's not like it wouldn't be celebrating Disney in any way. So I would hope that my audience would still like it because it's got a lot of the elements that I think they really love on my channel. But my biggest dream is to finally release. I've never released an album. I've released a lot of music, and I've released a lot of, I don't know about a lot, but I've released some original music, but I've never released an album. And I have this dream and this like huge vision for what I want to do. It's a big project. It's really, really big. And there's no way I can afford to do it. And so I've kind of been going back and forth over the years about how to make my dream happen. And so I've just been trying to save up and work slowly towards it. But that is like the future that I see, is hopefully making the transition from doing, more covers than originals to doing more originals than covers. Because as much as I love singing other people's music, it's a huge passion of mine. My ultimate dream is to, be able to put my original music out into the world and tell my story. It's basically, my music is really personal to me, and it stems from a lot of the things I've gone through. And I have a story to tell, and I have a big kind of project surrounding the album. And I hope and pray that it's something that will inspire people to go and live their dreams too. And so I feel like it's meant to happen. I feel like it's going to happen. I don't know that it's going to happen the way that I fully envision, because I can't fathom finding the money to do it the way that I really want to. But I'm toying with the idea of a Kickstarter. I'm so afraid. I have a Patreon, which is the only way right now that I'm able to make music videos. They are amazing, my Mer crew on Patreon, and those funds go into the music side of being able to afford to make the music that I'm making right now. But, for the album, it's so far beyond the cost of a song. You know what I mean? It's a lot. So that is what I hope my future holds. I'm working towards it. I will never give up. I'm hoping next year. And maybe what I need to do is finally get brave enough to do the Kickstarter and maybe do it in sections, do the album and then do the other pieces of the puzzle with the video side, or something.
Sure.
But yeah, so I've just been waiting for the right doors to open and working towards it on my own as best I can. But, and maybe it'll just be coming out in segments where I'll just put out, one song at a time until it's complete. And maybe it'll take quite a few years to get there. But that is the thing that I dream about night and day, is my album. So I'm really excited about it. And hopefully, even if it doesn't fully happen next year, I'm definitely planning to release some original stuff next year that's for the album. So, at least I think we'll get a little dip a toe in the water with that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It sounds like you're well on your way to achieving your dreams. You've accomplished a lot so far. Congratulations. You've been able to do so much. The final question I want to ask. Oh, sorry. You're very welcome. But the final question I want to ask to you is, what is the number one piece of advice that you would give people to help them follow their dreams?
Oh man, and I've been listening to your podcast. I'm a fan of the pod. And so I knew this question was coming, but I always very awkwardly answer these. I love this question. But basically, my advice in a practical sense is, if you have a dream and you want to do something, do it. And this is something I need to take my own advice in, especially when it comes to my album that I was just talking about. But this is how everything started for me on YouTube wasn't by doing a big crazy music video first. It was just by singing a song. It was just doing something. And so I feel like some of the best advice I've been given and some of the most practical advice that I've lived out and seen reap benefits, and really open doors and move things forward is just doing something. Like you can do, if you have a passion for something, you can do it where you're at in a way. You know what I mean? Like for me, obviously I'm a singer. So I may not have all this recording equipment in the beginning. I may not have access to people that I can work with to help me and collaborate with me, but I had a voice and I had a computer and I could sing a song on YouTube, And so I think the true way to actually get started on moving towards your dream is to just do it. Do the thing. If you have a dream of being a YouTuber and you're worried about having all the quality equipment and you're waiting or, just do it, or if you're afraid, do it afraid, because it's never gonna happen if you just wait for the right, if I'm trying to think how to say it correctly, but I'm like literally as I'm saying this, I'm like, oh, Traci, like just do the album, take your own advice. But it's really hard advice to take, I think, for a lot of people, at least like me, who are perfectionists and who do really have a lot of like specific visions and fears when it comes to what they want to do and putting themselves out there. But I really do think that just putting yourself out there, especially when it comes to the entertainment industry, just being accessible, being willing to collaborate with people, saying yes, and being able to learn from people around you. I think that's really, really valuable. If you want to learn to do something, try to go and surround yourself with people that are doing that thing and learn, and help them. And through that, maybe you can learn, how you want to create yourself, And so I just think whatever it is that you dream of doing, there is some first step that you can take, even if it's just researching, even if there's something, if you want to be a rocket scientist, just start taking a class, there's always something that you can do. And that's sort of the other thing that I would say is education. I think that, like for me as a musician, I still take voice lessons, and I've been a singer since I was 4 years old. I've been taking voice lessons since I was 10, and I'll probably never stop. And people who are singers, they never, for a job, they never stop. It's so important to have coaches and, teachers and just basically be able to learn about the thing that you love. Always be bettering yourself, always be working on improving your craft, because I think that, really having a level of excellence will set you apart. And like for me, I've had to relearn how to sing. I had vocal cord surgery 2 years ago, and it was like miraculous and amazing, but it's been really hard. But I'm so grateful for the vocal coaches that I have around me and for learning, because I don't think I'm anything special. I just love singing. I don't think I'm good at it. I just love to do it. And so, I think that just really, really, my dad calls it workshopping, doing your homework and preparing yourself for those moments when the opportunity does come knocking is so valuable. So that's sort of my practical advice, is just to do whatever you can where you're at, take classes, learn about the thing that you love, and don't be afraid, and if you really feel like in your heart, there's a desire and a passion for something, it's there for a reason. I'm fully convinced that we all have a purpose in our lives, and we were all created for a reason. We're here. I don't think we're here by accident. I think that we're here for each other, and to love people and to play a role on this earth with our talents and our gifts and our passions. And I think that if you have something in you that's a strong desire, that you shouldn't ignore it. It's there for a reason. You're supposed to pursue it in some way. And I'm not saying you're supposed to do it necessarily on a stage. Maybe that's it, or maybe it's like whatever it is. I do believe we're supposed to use our gifts. So, and I do believe a passion is a gift. Like, I don't feel like I'm that good at singing, but I know that I need to do it because I love it, and I've had all sorts of feedback over the years from people who have told me about all the different ways that my music has affected them and helped them through deaths and cancer. And just the stories people tell me, I just sit and cry and my mind is blown, and little kids who can't fall asleep and their parents put on my video and they can fall asleep at night and actually sleep through the night for the first time in years or whatever. Like, I've just gotten these stories that just rip my heart open and just, make it 10 times bigger because it's just so amazing to hear that what these videos, these songs, they matter, and a lot of times I feel like they don't matter the way that they actually do, and I think all of us have that in us. We have a gift that we can give people, and we're supposed to give it away. So that's just my ramblings on all of those things. I'm much better spoken in writing. I'm so sorry. I'm more of a writer. I'm not like a speaker. I'm not articulate. So, if you go on my Instagram, I'll sit and write books. All my captions are just like crazy long books. And that's where I can really express myself a little more, articulately. But hopefully you got the gist.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to immerse yourself in what you want to do and keep moving forward towards it if you want to achieve your dream. Traci, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. It means a lot that you came and told us about your story.
My pleasure. Thank you for asking me. I was really honored that you asked me, so thank you.
And could you tell the listeners where they should find you and where they should support you at?
Sure. So YouTube is like my main thing. That's probably my favorite platform. YouTube.com/Traci J. Hines, and it's Traci with an I. And then Instagram is probably my secondary platform, just at Traci Hines on there. I share a lot of like the video stuff and just what I'm working on and stuff. And I do have a Twitter, it's Traci Hines. I barely use it. I do have a Facebook, Traci Hines Music. I barely use it, but I love my community on Patreon. And so if people want to, kind of like be a part of the videos and play a role in helping me like decide what I'm covering and the people who are truly like the movers and shakers for me, that's my Merc crew. And so that's just patreon.com/Traci Hines, but no pressure. I hate anything like, it always feels very awkward talking about it, but they really are amazing. And I do want to shout them out and give them, the gratitude that they deserve because they're incredible. So anyways, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. To all of you who are listening, if you haven't seen Traci's work before, you can find links to everywhere she is on the internet in the description. And if you enjoyed this discussion, let me know by rating the podcast and subscribing. Also, it would mean a lot if you told someone who you thought might enjoy following dreams about what we are doing here, and consider supporting this show by supporting me over on Patreon, which will also be linked below. It would mean a lot if you are concerned or want advice on your next Disney trip to consider booking with Watso's Magical Vacations. Remember, we cost you nothing and are just here to ensure you have a magical experience. Again, that's WOTSOvacations.com to get your free quote today to allow you to begin your journey to have your next Disney vacation planned for you for free. To all of you fun people who are out in the world, thanks for listening and have a magical day.